Welcome back to EW Morning Live. Dalton and Jessica hanging out with you on Entertainment Weekly Radio, SiriusXM 105. And guess who's hanging with us? One of the stars of our favorite network drama, The Good Wife. It airs Sundays at 9 p.m. on CBS. It returned last night with a doozy of an episode. And one of the stars joins us now, Mr. Matt Czuchry. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Dude, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. You know what fans we are of the show, and it's about damn time you guys got back on the air.
Yeah, my mom was saying the same thing. She was texting me for the last couple months, saying how much she loved the Grammys, loved the Olympics, but she was missing The Good Wife. So she was happy that we're back on too.
Hell yeah.
You had this great episode last night where you're working this case for Lamont Bishop, this drug dealer client of yours, and I got to know what it's like working with Wallace Shawn, who plays his attorney, because if I were you, I would just be yelling out "inconceivable" and like lines from The Princess Bride like constantly.
It's he's an amazing actor, and we all know so many of his films. He's a legend, and it's the case with this show. I mean, just look at this one episode with Wallace Shawn, Jerry Adler. You got Nathan Lane. You've got Jeffrey Tambor, and the show. We're so lucky to have so many incredible actors to come and play, and everybody has a different essence that everybody brings, and it changes the content of the show. And Wallace Shawn, I love that character. And he's fantastic to work with. And it was a pleasure. It was an honor for sure.
Yeah, it was such a great idea to make Lamont Bishop's, fixer be this like little kind of nebbishy guy, but he will totally cut you. Like he is a scary dude. But I want to talk about Carrie for a second, because what was up with Carrie and Kalinda ending up in bed together?
Yeah, how about that? That was, 5 seasons working up to that, and it kind of there it was. Yeah, I think with that scene, both of them are using each other for information and intimacy, and they're both okay with that. They're both willing partners in that, and that's what that scene was about. Is even though that they work at opposing law firms now, the question is, can they maintain an intimate relationship and keep the secrets necessary that protects their career and their personal relationship. So with them, it's never as simple as just a scene about intimacy. It's about trying to, I use you, you use me, and I think they're both in the even playing field now. So that was been a long time coming for 5 seasons.
Yeah, for sure. But it seems like there is genuine, a kind of love between them, and it's something even when Carrie and Alicia leave the firm initially, I think that there's. I think that friendship is kind of real, or that, and that attraction is certainly kind of real. Are we going to see this play out more over the course of the season?
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. I think that's been what's interesting about their relationship for the past 5 seasons is that they've gone through different periods of time, but there's always been a mutual respect there and a caring and a love. And I think actually with that scene last night, you saw kind of a vulnerability with Kalinda at the end of that scene, and I think she was confused in why she went back to say, hey, Carrie was lying, where that actually wasn't the truth, that he was telling the truth. And I think she felt vulnerable, and that's not something that usually happens to Kalinda. Usually she's in control and has her street smarts about her for her job, but that emotion that she felt personally kind of confused her and affect her work performance. So that's kind of the nature of the relationship going forward throughout this season is that back and forth of they're both working at different places now, and how do they protect their professional careers? But at the same time, you're absolutely right. There is a genuine care that they both have for one another.
We're talking with Matt Czuchry, who plays Carrie Agos on The Good Wife, Sundays at 9 on CBS, just returned last night. And, at one point in the episode, Matt, or Alicia says that Carrie is being pretty much positively Will-like when he comes up with this cagey strategy for something. And it got me thinking, like, how has Carrie changed since starting up the new firm? Has that really forced him to step up his game and become really more of a leader?
Absolutely. He's he's a partner in this firm. He has ownership in this firm, and the success or failure of the firm has to do with his participation in it, along with Alicia's participation and everybody else's. And that is a continuing through line as well, is seeing that growth and seeing that strength of Carrie going from in season one somebody who was extremely competitive to try to get this associate position to now being in control of a firm. Absolutely, that's part of one of our themes going forward is how he's grown up professionally and personally. And again, with the Kalinda relationship, seeing them on an even playing field, whereas before that wasn't the case. So certainly that is something moving forward, and he has to step up. He has ownership in this firm, and this is one of the most important things in his life, and the success and failure depends upon him.
Is Carrie going to be brought into the whole Peter, Will, Alicia voter fraud situation?
Yes, he is. Kind of last night we kind of had a to be continued, so to speak, episode, and kind of a three-part episodes as they're talking about, and Carrie is fundamental to that in terms of his relationship with Alicia and protecting her with this voter fraud scandal. He goes to lengths to protect her, and that's what you're going to see, I believe, in the next episode or the next one after that. Yes.
Matt, how many times are Carrie and Alicia going to end up in the same courtroom as Will and Diane? Because this is getting crazy, man.
Yeah, we made reference to that last night in terms of how we need to stop sharing clients because they end up being in the same courtroom. It's going to happen a little bit more, but things are going to change within the foreseeable future with that. I can say that. But sharing clients has certainly brought them both together in multiple different ways since the beginning of this season.
Do you see them ending up as being part of Lockhart Gardner again? Like, I feel like
Excuse me, do you mean LG?
LG, yes. I'm trying to figure out the end game, the Kings, Robert and Michelle King's end game. Like, we've heard rumors that there is another huge bombshell episode coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I know that CBS has kind of thrown it out there as one of the most shocking episodes ever in terms of these kind of these next three, including the one last night. And I can just say that fans won't be disappointed. I think that at the beginning of this season, the Kings said before the season aired that we were going to be going with this season 1,000 miles an hour, and I think that that hasn't disappointed. Case in point with Hitting the Fan, episode number 5.
Yeah, wow.
There was a payoff for the investment that everybody who had been watching the series. There was a huge payoff for the firm splitting off. So I can say that oftentimes you see trailers and they're a bit overblown in what they're trying to pitch to get those eyeballs and people to watch, but that's not the case for this. There is a big payoff, and just like with Hitting the Fan, I think that people who have been watching the series forever will be rewarded. So that's what I can say about that for sure.
We're talking with Matt Czuchry, who plays Carrie Agos on The Good Wife on CBS Sundays at 9, our favorite network drama by Head and Shoulders. Matt, when Jessica was just trying to get some info out of you, your intel out of you, and you did a very good job of parsing that, so you didn't spoil anything.
He flat out ignored it.
Well, in terms of the going back specifically in terms of the firms, if they're going to come together, I don't know yet. In terms of, we're on episode number 20, and I don't personally know what the end game is going to be for those last couple episodes.
That's really interesting, because that's what my question was going to be: is what sort of schedule do the Kings, Robert and Michelle, the creators of this show, when do they let you know stuff? Like, do they give you a general outline? This is where we're heading, or are you working script to script, or do you know a few weeks out, or how does that sort of whole process work?
I think it's a combination of both. From the beginning of the season, you really kind of break the season into 3 parts, and a general outline for part 1, part 2, part 3. Usually part 1 is say the first 6 episodes, and then you've got the middle chunk right now that we're in, and then the final chunk that brings us into hopefully what would be a renewal for the next season. So they kind of lay it out for us in general terms as to here are the elements, here's where your character's going. These are kind of the arcs that we're looking for to see in terms of the growth for your character in part 1, 2, and 3. And then as the scripts come, then they're kind of unique in terms of how they're all put together. So the specifics aren't laid out, but basically 3 parts of the season generally are laid out for our characters, so we kind of have an idea of where we're going.
Are we going to get to know the inner workings a little more of Floric Agos? I feel the first half of the season we got to know a little bit of the other lawyers and what was going on and the little bit of tension, but we haven't seen so much of them last night.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the main kind of through line with these next couple is the NSA and this voter fraud and how it kind of all combines for both the firms and everyone involved. And so with that, you are going to see the inner workings of the firm. I think probably more you're going to see kind of the connection between Carrie and Alicia specifically with that. For example, the next episode, there's a scene I'm looking forward to seeing where it's a nice bonding moment between Carrie and Alicia where they're both kind of talking about their preconceived notions that they had of one another in season 1 where they were competitors. And we even see a flashback to season 1 when they were in the waiting room together. So I think you are going to see Floric Agos, but it's more going to be about Alicia and Carrie and their bond, and Carrie protecting Alicia through this voter fraud and the NSA stuff that's going on. So more specific to those 2 characters as opposed to the whole firm in the immediate future.
I have to say the line that Dalton was referencing when Alicia says that was very Will-like and Carrie says, "Thank you, Diane." That was one of my favorite moments of the episode. It was just such smart writing, and I love that they are kind of Will and Diane of this other firm.
Well, Robert and Michelle King and the creators and all the writers, I mean, to be in 5th season and over 100 episodes and to have folks still interested about these storylines and these characters and invested in them is a huge achievement by them. And in terms of that Will and Diane line, I think that, again, shows the growth of these 2 characters where they went from competitors in season 1 to now truly partners on the same page and fighting for each other and fighting for their career goals. So it's a nice callback, and at the same time, it also is kind of a nod to the future as well.
Well, it's so freaking good. If anyone missed last night's episode, go check it out on demand or online immediately. You're going to want to get up to speed because this is a roller coaster ride you're going to want to take. Matt Czuchry, thank you so much for calling in, man. It's always great to talk to you.
Oh, thank you guys so much, and thank you for all your support, and I hope you enjoy these next couple episodes. So thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Matt. Have a great one.
All right, you too. Take care.
See ya. There he is, Matt Czuchry, loving what's happening over at Floric Agos.
Yeah, I love that show. I remember talking to him earlier, another time when he said that he didn't even know if his character was going to come back at one point.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing that the character of Carrie, which he was, at a certain point early on in the run, it was like, what are they going to do with him? And not only is he back, he's Alicia's partner, and he is a player.
If you haven't watched from the beginning, he and Alicia were fighting for the job. He didn't get it, so he had to leave the firm. And like you just said, end of season 1, he doesn't get the job. You're like, well, that guy's done.
Yep.
And then he goes to the DA's office, then he comes back. Now he's going. It's been a great arc for him.